pink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show that River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Don't give us the bug. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show that River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Oh.
Well, good day, everyone. It's Betting Weekly Live on Thursday, the 6th of March. You're with Steve Wiss and James Easton for your regular Europa League and Europa Conference League special. James, how has your week been? Did the Champions League treat you well? What are your takeaways from the soccer week so far? Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, hi Steve. Great to be back. Yeah, well, I really enjoyed it. We had some incredible games, didn't we? I was watching the PSG Liverpool game last night, like a lot of people. And we've just been talking off air about what a fantastic performance we saw from Alisson there in goal for Liverpool. So I think there's lots of ties which are still in the balance for the second leg. And I think it's going to be the case after the games tonight as well, because there's some which looks slightly one-sided, but there's plenty of ties in the Conference League and the Europa League that look pretty tight as well. So plenty more to look forward to this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of relieved that we're on Europa League and Conference League because the Champions League generally didn't treat me very well. A couple of poor reads, but I felt 2 or 3 of the games, some of the stats were really skew with. I mean, the PSG, and I'm sorry, but anyone who backed Liverpool last night is so lucky there. I mean, PSG certainly should have opened the scoring. We don't know what would have happened if they had scored, but that was crazy. And to be fair, shout out to anyone who did like Bayern Munich yesterday. I think the big players raised it for them there, and Leverkusen folded on the stage. There were some winners, though, across the board. Barcelona double chance was a $10,000 winner, and also $10,000 on Barcelona on the money line. Those bettors were sweating when Barcelona went down to 10 men. But they've managed to get the job done there. Inter Milan was a big winner as well, nearly an $8,000 winner on the money line. We had quite a few in chat there. Paul Laguna, that was his lock of the day. It was about one of the few games we got right. Jack had a good winner there. Both teams to score no. So it was a mixed sort of bag for the bettors yesterday. I do know in chat that it was pretty 50-50 split between Liverpool and PSG. Yeah. So I know some people would have won on the Liverpool game there. We switched to Europa and Conference League now. And a roll call, there we go again. Which team do you support? We asked this yesterday in the chat. We might have some new faces or different faces in today. If you want to reveal which teams you support, it might be more than one team. Put it in the chat. It'd be very interesting for conversation. I want the most random team that someone supports. We'll have to have like an award for that today or something. But yeah, I hope everyone's well. Hopefully we can cash quite a few winners. The matches kick off in about just under 2 hours' time in the Europa League. So first of all, we'll have a look at the draw. We now know the route. Unlike in previous years, this is the route to the final. Obviously there's some strong sections, there's some weak sections. I'm going to put the outright futures odds up on screen very, very soon. But James, now that we know the draw, which teams would you be looking at? Who do you think can go deep? Who's a fade? Who is maybe a surprise team to make, say, the semi-finals at least?
Yeah, well, when you look at that draw, the first thing that stands out to me anyway is just what an open competition this is. We don't have, for me, a standout contender. If you look at the top of the market at the moment with Bet Rivers, Tottenham are the favourites at plus 400. Athletic Club, Lazio, Manchester United, I get that, but they're not, for me, noticeably stronger than some of the sides that are further down. So, yeah, when you look at the draw, if I was to say which team do I like the look of and would I be wanting to get with, it would actually be Lyon, Steve, at plus 1,600, 16 to 1. If you look on the right-hand side of the draw.
Yeah,
there.
I'd agree.
They've got FCSB tonight. We're obviously going to come on to that game. It's a tie that they're favourites to win. They should win it. If they get through that, they face Real Sociedad or Manchester United. It's not going to be an easy game against either of those two, but it's also not going to be a particularly intimidating tie for them either. So I just look at that side of the draw. I'm not sure Lyon are that much weaker than any of the sides. I mean, I think Roma Athletic Club above them there in the draw are both probably a little bit stronger than Lyon, but you're looking at the semi-finals before they meet, and by then I think for your plus 1600 available on Lyon at the moment, you would have had a run for your money. So that's the way I see the draw, Steve. I think, as I say, the teams at the top of the market, they don't hold a great deal of appeal to me at those prices, plus 400 on Tottenham, plus 600 on Lazio, Manchester United, because, as I say, just not sure they're that much better than the rest of the teams. It's an extremely open competition for me, and I just feel that looking through the card, Lyon there at plus 1600. You and I know the talent in that side. Yeah, they're not the best team in France, but they've got plenty of talent, and with fair performances in the cup competition, they can, for me, match anybody in this competition on their day. They would be my pick. I think plus 1600 on them before this tie against FCSB, which is very winnable, is too big.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've highlighted Lyon before, and they're in a section. FCSB. We'll come to that match soon. We do expect them to get past them, and then Real Sociedad or Man United is not such a fearsome prospect as it once was.
Yeah,
and then I think you got to accept in any competition really. Once you get the semi-finals, you've just got to play some really good soccer,
correct,
to go through. But it is nice if you can have an easier route to that level. Another team that does actually. I'm kind of interested in them a little bit now, and it's Ajax. I think they're playing some good soccer again in the Netherlands. They're top of that league. Are they the best team now in the Netherlands? PSV seem to have just their season's collapsed. It's a tough section. Frankfurt though are not maybe the same without Marmoush. AZ Alkmaar and Tottenham. Tottenham obviously the favourites to win the competition. We're going to start with their match very, very soon. But Ajax for me are an interesting one at 16-1 as well. I'm not sure about them. But I think they're well coached. And
yes. Well, I think the point you make about are they the best team in the Netherlands, I think you've got to say yes right now, don't you? Because they've built up that lead at the top. And PSV, you're right, Steve. I mean, their form even going into the game against Arsenal this week wasn't particularly strong. And they've obviously collapsed in that first leg against Arsenal. So, yeah, Ajax do look the strongest team to me in the Netherlands at the moment. And a bit like Lyon, I'm not sure they're that much weaker than the teams at the top of the market, given what the prices are. I think it's slightly underrated, I would say, our Ajax.
Yeah, there was a few comments about Fenerbahce in chat as well because of the Jose Mourinho factor. My problem with them, I think they're in a really, really tough section. It doesn't mean that they can't go deep, but I think it's potentially very challenging. Lazio, Roma or Athletic Club potentially in the next round would be very, very hard. But we need to crack on with some of the matches, the early games. We've got all of the UK sides that are in action early, actually, James. So might be quite a lot of betting interest. And the favourites for the Europa League, straight off the bat here, AZ Alkmaar against Tottenham. Tottenham, the favourites, just over evens now for them. AZ Alkmaar plus 240 to win this game. Goal line over 2.5 goals can be backed at minus 139, which that stood out to me, and I know it stands out to you here because I think we're both expecting quite a good game.
Yeah, well, I was surprised at that goal line, same as you, Steve. My pick on the game is over goals. I think if anybody wanted to take over 2.5 at that price, it would be well worth it. I'm going over 2.75 goals just to get a slightly bigger price. That was available at minus 120 about an hour ago. That's my pick on the game. I think when you look at the two teams, there's plenty of reasons to expect goals here. First of all, on RZ, been involved in a lot of high-scoring matches in this competition. I think it was 4-1 that they won at home to Galatasaray. I think they drew 2-2 away to Galatasaray. They lost 4-3 at Ferencváros. So we've seen them involved in high-scoring matches. Tottenham, I think probably on an upward curve at the moment. Things are fairly positive there. They're certainly getting players back from injury. Squad news is positive. And they are tournament favourites. They're not going to go to AZ Alkmaar and play for a draw, are they? They're going to go there to try and win this game. So I'm expecting it to be fairly open. I think AZ will expect to score because that's what they've been doing in this competition. Yes, they're facing Tottenham, but I don't think that's a particularly intimidating prospect for them in terms of the defence they'll be up against. So everywhere I looked at it, I think it will be an open game. I think that goal line is probably a little bit wrong for me. I thought we might even see over 3 goals at minus money. So yeah, that's the value play for me. I'm expecting an open match. I think both teams will be fairly confident in their attacking qualities. And I think over 2.75 goals at minus 120 is a pretty good price.
Yeah, I totally agree with you here. I've got the exact same bet. This is an official play for me as well. Over 2.75 goals at minus 1. 09. I can't see anything other than a shootout. I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw for this first leg. I think Tottenham will qualify, but I'm not going to bet them at minus 400 to qualify. I couldn't really trust them, but really their whole season's now in this competition. So if they can't get past AZ, then I think there is a problem. Although AZ are underrated a little bit in this market, I think. What are your thoughts? What's your correct score for the first
Well,
leg?
so I've gone more bullish on Tottenham in the correct score. I've gone 3-1 Tottenham. So AZ 1, Tottenham 3. I mean, you're right. AZ maybe are underrated. They've got a very good home record going into this game. So, your call might be right on the correct score there. But I'm going Tottenham to win it 3-1. But primarily, I'm going on high goals. I think that's the way to do it.
I definitely think there's goals in that particular game. 96% of the money is on Tottenham in the game. 64% of the over-under money is on the over as well. Moving on to another game in Europa League. FCSB against Lyon. This is a pick subject of your newsletter selection this week. You do like Lyon. We've got a player prop from James in this game as well. I think it's an interesting one because you've been quite supportive of FCSB in the Europa League this season, and they've really rewarded you handsomely at times. You've been really in there, so I was a little bit surprised to maybe you going against them here, James. But you're a big expert on Lyon, so I'm not going to argue too much.
Yeah, I do fancy Lyon to get the win. You're right, Steve. You can maybe argue FCSB are still a little bit underrated. They've got very good form generally, and I liked them on a couple of the handicap prices in the group stages. I think from memory, it was the Manchester United game when they played at home. I felt they were slightly underrated, but I fancy Lyon to win it. I think they should. There's plenty of talent in that team. They look like a cup team to me as well. We've both queried them in the league, haven't we? Whether they turn up in every game, and there's a few issues sometimes when they play some teams in League One, but I think they're really up for this competition. So I think Lyon should win it. And my player prop on the game is on the striker George Mikau-Tads to have over 1.5 shots on target, which is a big price. It's available at plus 230. I wouldn't normally hand out a pick at those sort of odds. I tend to go nearer to evens, but it's for over 1.5 shots on target from Mikau-Tads. Couple of reasons why. The first is that Mikau-Tads, first of all, he's a good player, and he's been in pretty good form, in my view, in front of goal in 2025. He's also locked in a sort of battle with Alexandre Lacazette at Lyon to become the main striker. They do sometimes play both of them, so it's not as clear-cut as one or the other. But there is talk at the moment he may start tonight. And I think every time Mikau-Tads to start, he's not really on trial, but he's trying to prove a point. I think that he's worthy of a place in the team every game. So I'd expect him to be really fired up and really sharp if he does start tonight. And I've liked what I've seen from him recently. So I think Mikau-Tads to have over 1.5 shots on target. Yeah, if he starts, I think plus 230 are pretty good odds because he's a dangerous player, and he's obviously facing, I think, fair to say, slightly weaker opposition than they sometimes face in League One. Not always, but sometimes in League One. So I just like that. If you're looking for a prop bet, my main bet on the game would be Lyon to win it. I think they should win in 90 minutes tonight. But keep an eye on Mikau-Tads in the overshots on target market because I think he's worth a look.
Yeah, I think the extra quality that Lyon have should be enough here. Lewis Mitchell makes a very good point. FCSB are missing their star defender, Cretu, as well as the top scorer, Briglia, and the captain, Alara, apparently is out as well. I actually didn't see that one. So that's not great news for FCSB. There's the most wagered on plays by percentage of handle. The second biggest in the Europa League is actually under 2.5 goals in this game. FCSB versus Lyon, 82% of the money's on the under. I think it's a little bit dangerous here. I mean, I've actually got this down as a 2-1 win for Lyon. Myself. Yeah. So
same here, Steve. I've gone 2-1 Lyon. I think that's we don't really trust them defensively, do we? Because a positive side, and FCSB, they've not been outclassed in the competition, so I thought they could get a goal here. But like I say, I'm expecting Lyon to win, so it's 2-1 Lyon for me as well.
Reese William asks, will Fonseca be in the dugout for Europe? Yes, he will. I believe, but not domestically. 9-month ban for Paulo Fonseca. We talk about that on the Betting Weekly Extra Time show today. Incredible stuff, really. I like that bet, actually. Cabral, both teams score yes at minus 108. I was looking at it. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that did happen. But, if they're missing a big scorer, then that might be the problem, getting the Romanians on the score sheet here. But, we think Lyon, and overall, you certainly expect Lyon to progress as well, James, over the two legs. You would think. I'm with you there totally. Real Sociedad against Manchester United. Spanish side plus 112 to win the first leg against Man United, who were plus 275. A Man United team unbeaten in the Europa League, it must be added so far this season. Under 2.5 goals is the favourite at minus 143. Real Sociedad to qualify minus 125. That is, those odds have significantly shortened since they first came out. I think Real Sociedad were plus money to qualify. They've been back well in here. Man United are not fancied. But, I mean, the more I look at this tie, I actually think Real Sociedad to qualify at minus 125 is a bet still.
Yes.
But in the first leg, I'm not sure whether I want to get on the first leg at plus 112 or not. Because Man United, this is kind of their whole season's on the line a little bit. But I mean, this could be a tight one, I think, the first leg, James. Have you got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I still think Real Sociedad are worth backing. First of all, I was pleased to see they are the favourites to go through, because I've been slightly annoyed by some of the prices on Man United in this competition on a game-by-game basis. I think sometimes they were overrated. I think back to the Rangers game, where Rangers I thought were a good bet on the handicap. So yeah, pleased to see Real Sociedad are favourites. I think that's fair. I think they probably are still a bet. I didn't really like them to win here, same as you, Steve, but they could do. And really, for me, the biggest factor on the game was the team news for Manchester United. We obviously don't know what the starting 11 is, but they do have a number of injuries at centre-back. Harry Maguire is out. Martinez is obviously out. Johnny Evans is out. And we know that Amorim likes to use a back three. So he's short of players for that back three. If he's not short of them, he's short of players who are used to playing as a unit. You know, it looks like Lenny Yoro will start and Delight, and maybe somebody else, Mazraoui, I suppose. So I think defensively, you know, they've got maybe more problems than they ordinarily have, and they've not really been that solid anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did win on the night, Real Sociedad, but I'm like you, Steve. I prefer to take them over the two legs, really, because you're right. Manchester United, they have to be up for this because their season is riding on it, and they do have talent, obviously, going the other way. So I'd rather be on Sociedad to get the job done over the two legs rather than tonight. I didn't have a pick on it. I went 2-1 on the correct score to Real Sociedad. Lent more towards 2-1 than 1-0 because of United's problems in defence. So I'd probably lean towards overs as well, but I don't have a pick on the game. I think that the prices generally are about right, so I would leave it alone, really.
Yeah, I'm definitely betting Real Sociedad to qualify, and it wouldn't actually surprise me if the first leg ended a draw or even a Man United win, but Real Sociedad managed to turn it around at Old Trafford, where there's going to be a lot of pressure and expectation on Man United, and I think the second leg could play into Real Sociedad's hands. I really do. And especially as I think Man United have Arsenal at the weekend. They've got players out. Second leg, I think La Real could be in there. I am going to still predict a 1-0 win, though, for Real Sociedad today in the first leg. A few going on. A lot of people liking the unders here. A lot of people liking both teams to score no. I think that's not a bad pick from Ranjiv Singh Gandiok. I think that's a good play. What's your scoreline prediction for leg one?
Sociedad game, yeah, I'd go 2-1 to Real Sociedad. I think for me, it's the United defence that's a concern, and that's I think they'll struggle tonight. But I take your point, Steve. I think it's really about the two legs, isn't it? I think over the two legs, they're so unpredictable. United, they could pull something out tonight, but I think over the two legs, Sociedad are the value play here.
71% of the money's on Real Sociedad. 53% of the tickets are on Man United. So a lot of the public still believe in Man United in terms of the over-under money is on the over. I mean, I do quite like the under here, but I take your point about the defence of Man United. So I couldn't back it with too much overall security. But I do, over the two legs, Real Sociedad for me will prevail. Let's switch on to the last game of the early kickoffs. It's just hidden there in the graphics. But it's Fenerbahce against Rangers. Fenerbahce minus 150 to win the first leg, which I think is perfectly acceptable against a Rangers side who are in turmoil. They're managerless. They do have a history of raising it in European competition, which we've got to keep in the back of our minds. But this is a club not in a great phase right now. Rangers FC recently sacked Philippe Clement. A lot of fans didn't really blame Philippe Clement in a lot of ways from what I've seen, that the problems at Rangers go beneath the surface. And I can't really see beyond a Fenerbahce winning in the
No.
first leg, to be honest, James. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a bet, if you're looking at handicaps, the minus 0.75 on Fenerbahce is what I would be betting on here at minus 117, because rather take that than a minus one. Jose Mourinho is a canny manager. He will play the long game. If you offered Jose Mourinho a 1-0 win now, he probably would take it.
Yeah.
So I think we need a minus 0.75 Asian handicap. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, exactly the same as you, Steve. I was very close to having this as a pick. I think Fenerbahce are the bet here. I know some people will look at a minus money and think, well, I'm not going to get involved in that. Well, fair enough. But I think it's actually justified. And obviously you can back them on the handicap. Yeah, they're in good form. They're on a long unbeaten run. They've got plenty of experience in their side. I know there may be 1 or 2 players missing tonight, but I think they'll get the job done. And yeah, I went 2-0. My scoreline pick was 2-0 on Fenerbahce, which would obviously clear the handicap and clear the handicap if you were taking Fenerbahce minus 1 Asian handicap. So there you go. Nish is just saying there, Fenerbahce minus 1 Asian is superb at 2.15. I agree with that, Nish. I think that would be worth taking. It's one of those which looks like a bet to nothing, really, if you think Fenerbahce are going to win the game, which I do. So talking myself into doing it as a pick now, but I did have a long look at it and decided.
Yes. you are convinced now, James.
Yeah, I looked at it and
yeah.
it was like, it was 6 on the list. I had 5 picks and this was 6. So yeah, I think they should get the job done. You're right about Rangers. There's problems there, and I think even if there weren't problems there, I think Fenerbahce are the better team at home. So I'd be siding with them in some way, whatever you fancy on the handicap.
This is the most wagered on play by handle in Europa League. Fenerbahce on the money line, nearly 10% of all money wagered in Europa League is on them. So they're very popular here, Fenerbahce, and I can totally see why. So many, nearly 90% of the money is on them for the game, 94% of the tickets as well. And that is not a stat to be taken lightly, because Rangers are often popular. They're often really, really popular in terms of public, because of the name, the reputation. I've gone 3-1. I've given Rangers a goal because they have scored in every European game, I think, this season by 1. So, I'm giving them a goal, but I'm not actually convinced by that. Fenerbahce, for me, get the job done. 3 goals to 1. And yes, that was Kit Kat meowing in the background.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his bet. Fenerbahce, that's his bet of the day.
Yeah.
In some form. I'm trying
Strong.
I don't know where he is. I'm trying to find him. He might pop up actually here. He's not been on the show for a long time.
Strong views on Fenerbahce.
As soon as he pipes up, everyone's on alert. Okay. That is the early Europa League games sorted. So we've got to move to the Conference League now, and we've got another graphic in terms of the outright market. As Kit Kat is somewhere. Come here, James. You're going to have to talk us through this Europa Conference League draw.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's very different, isn't it? I mean, I talked about just how open the Europa League draw was. You've got the exact opposite here. We've got Chelsea there at the top of the draw on the right-hand side facing Copenhagen tonight, minus 155 in the outright market when there are still 16 teams left in it. So a completely different set of circumstances if you're looking at the futures market, the outright market, whatever you want to call it. Is that odds-on price, that minus money price on Chelsea justified when there are still 15 other teams in the competition? Yes, is my opinion. I think it probably is. They are that much better than everybody else. It is theirs to win or lose. And I think, how well they play will decide whether it's won or not. If they play close to their potential, they should win it. Fiorentina are the team that stand out to me in the other side of the draw. Not been entirely convinced by them, though, in Serie A over the last 2 months. So there is a chance that we could get a surprise team, I think, coming out of that side of it. But yeah, in a way that just makes things easier for Chelsea, because they could be facing a side who have done really, really well to get to the final but aren't really up to it when they get there. So it's just such a big gap, isn't it, between them and the rest? Team 4 there on the list, you're down to plus 1,600 already. But I can't argue with it. I think it's absolutely fair. I think they are that much better than everybody else if they turn up, and they have turned up with their, without wishing to be disrespectful, with their B team in some of these games so far.
Are Chelsea a bet then, James? Well. Minus 155. I talked with Lewis Jones about this on the day of the draw reaction. He said, no way, Jose. But minus 155, I can't see beyond Chelsea and not making the final. Personally.
No, I can't either. Are they a bet? I get what Lewis is saying there. I wouldn't. Listen, I've just said that I think it's fair, but have I thought about doing it myself and backing them? I wouldn't really. I wouldn't do it at plus 100, minus 155. Things can happen. Decisions can go against you. You can have one terrible day in the competition. They've not had one yet, so maybe it's going to come in the knockout phase. That's how I tend to think about it. But from a market making point of view, if you were making this market up, would you have Chelsea at minus money or plus money? You'd have them at minus money all day long, wouldn't you? So I think the price is correct. I just wouldn't back it myself. But what it does mean is there's nobody really in the outright market I would back here. I think a lot of the value in the outright markets on these two competitions is in the Europa League, not this one. So, yeah, it's fascinating in its own way because obviously so rare to have a team who are minus money when there's 16 teams left in it. But like I say, it's up to Chelsea to live up to it. And there's every chance that they will because they are that good.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking for a bet, I think you've got to be thinking of Real Betis or Fiorentina. I think that's a good chance there's a semi-final there of those two sides meeting. I mean, you've got to pick which side you prefer. And it could be either, really. There'll be Fiorentina fans out there. They've got a great record in the competition. Real Betis seem to have come alive in the last few weeks as well. They're finding some form. I mean, that bottom right section, one of Pafos, Djurgardens, Borac, Banja, Luka or Rapid Vienna are going to be a semi-finalist. Which is it's brilliant for the competition, actually. I mean, this is what it's all about. True. But that is such a soft section that, you know, but and that's why they're as big as they are, even though one of them will be a semi-finalist. We've got to go on to the early Conference League games. And talking to Chelsea, they are in action in Copenhagen. They're minus 180 to win on the money line in the first leg here against an FC Copenhagen side who I think they are top of the Danish Super League just at the moment. It's pretty tight at the minute with Midtjylland. Plus 510. Lost in the home leg against Heidenheim last time out. That doesn't bode well, does it? If you're losing at home to Heidenheim, what chance have you got against Chelsea, James?
Well, this is it. And then they squeezed through, didn't they? It was 4-3 on aggregate. I think, so, well, not much is my view, which may sound a bit harsh, but I think Chelsea deserve their odds on price on the game, and I'm backing them. They're one of my picks here on the Asian handicap. You can get Chelsea with a minus 1 goal start at minus 108. I think that's well worth taking because obviously you'll get your stakes back if Chelsea just win the game by a goal. You'll make a profit if they go on and win by 2 or more goals. I did this several times in the group stages, which paid off. I mean, they had some big wins, didn't they, in the group stage? I'm not suggesting they're going to win 4-5 or even 7-0 here, obviously, but I'm happy to back them. And of course, the other factor with Chelsea is will they go stronger now that they win the knockout stage than they did in the group stage? I think they probably will, actually. I'm not saying they'll go full strength, but I think they will draft in more of their regular starters from the Premier League if the manager feels they need it. So you've got a chance here of a Chelsea team going out in this competition, as in going out onto the pitch stronger than they were in the group stage. And I'm happy to take them on the handicap because I don't see them drawing this. I certainly don't see them losing it. I think they're worth backing. So that would be the way I play it. I think Chelsea minus 1 on the Asian handicap at pretty close to evens. It's minus 108 is a pick for me. I think they should get this one.
Is this one of your strongest plays of the day, would you say, James?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd probably wait a little bit for the team news. I'm very interested by this. I want to see who Chelsea put out on the pitch as their starting 11 and compare it to the group stage to see what the manager's view is on how much he needs to step it up in terms of his team selection now. If he went particularly weak, let's say, I might think twice about making it one of my strongest ones, but we did see them win comfortably with second choice players in many positions in the group stage. So I'd still take them, whoever they pick. It's just a case of how strong do they go. But I would say so. I'm confident they'll get the win today.
Yeah, I've got Chelsea down here, minus 1 Asian handicap as a lean. I actually quite like over 2.75 goals as well, at minus 109. I'm not sure I fully trust this Chelsea defence to keep a clean sheet. So I've gone with a 3-1 away win for Chelsea here. They're not had a game for 9 days, which I think is a positive. Just they needed a bit of time just to... I mean, I know they beat Southampton, but before that it was a bit of turmoil. It might have done them some good. 3-1 away win for me. What are you saying?
Yes, exactly the same, Steve. 3-1 is what I've got written down here. That was my view as well. I think that they're defensively, you're looking at how they're likely to line up. And again, we don't know, but I looked at a few of the suggestions of how they would line up. I think Copenhagen have got a chance of getting a goal here.
Jan Phillips says he's going for a surprise Copenhagen result, 1x. I mean, they do have a history of surprising people at Parken. But from what I've seen of them this season, it's just not the FC Copenhagen of old, where I just don't think they're as good as they were, 12 months ago. So I do think Chelsea come here and get the job done. Let's move on to probably a really good game, actually, this one. Let me get the graphic right. There we go. Real Betis against Vitoria Guimaraes. Spain against Portugal here. Battle of the Iberian Peninsula. Real Betis, suddenly in form, Real Betis, at minus 195. Now, I do think they'll win the game. I'm not going to back them at minus 195, but I do think they'll probably show their class against a Guimaraes side who are decent. But they're not. I mean, they're a different manager compared to what they had before the winter break. Of course, he's moving out Sporting. I think that's a negative for them. And I just think La Liga is better than the Portuguese league, James. I've got this down 2-0 to Real Betis.
I have got exactly the same score, Steve. 2-0 to Real Betis. I agree with you. And if you look at where they are in their respective leagues at the moment, as one metric on the game, Real Betis are 6th in the Spanish league. Guimaraes are 7th in the Portuguese league, which is, as you say, it's a weaker league. So, yeah, Betis should get the job done. I think it's interesting that Guimaraes obviously did better in the group stage than Betis. I think one thing that's going to be fascinating to look at after this, not just tonight's game, but after this round of matches has been completed, is whether there's any correlation between where teams finished in the group phase and how they've competed here. But I tend to put more value on the fact that Betis are doing a bit better in their league, which is stronger than the Portuguese league where Guimaraes are. So they should get the job done. Minus 215 to win on the night didn't really hold any appeal for me, but yeah, I would expect them to go through. No pick or play for me on this, but I think Betis would be the team to be with.
Yeah, they've been backed into minus 225 here, Real Betis now, which is, I mean, I do think they'll get the job done. This is the most popular play, Real Betis moneyline, in terms of total percentage of tickets. Nearly 15% of all the tickets are on Real Betis moneyline. The biggest, this is the Conference League, and the biggest handle, incidentally, nearly 13% of the overall handle in the Conference League is on Chelsea moneyline against FC Copenhagen. So the Chelsea Real Betis double is going to be really popular today for these early kickoffs, and I think it's a good play really for those who are looking to do that. We've got the Man United team out. I think Nigel there has put it in. Onana, Mazraoui, Delic, Fernandez, Højlund, Xerxes, Dorgu, Yoro, Garnacho, Casemiro, and Dalot. That is, I mean, that's as strong as they can be, really. Yeah, it's quite attack-minded, actually. Maybe they'll come here and have a go. It's an intriguing one, this first leg in San Sebastian. So Man United, like we said, their whole season is on the line at the minute, so they've got to go. Interesting one there. There'll be loads of lineups coming up as well. If anyone wants to put some in for matches they're interested in, then feel free. If there's any surprise inclusions or omissions, then absolutely do that. Panathinaikos Fiorentina. Panathinaikos plus 225, and Fiorentina at plus 125. I was not very impressed with Panathinaikos in the previous round against the Icelandic side. I nearly had to book my flight to Reykjavik, didn't I, James?
You did.
Unbelievable, actually, that they took that long to get through against them. And they're not doing that well domestically either, Panathinaikos. No. I mean, Fiorentina, for me, plus 125 if they want it. Yeah. You never know which version of Fiorentina are going to show up, but I don't see anything from this Panathinaikos side which is going to cause them any trouble.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I tend to agree with you on Panathinaikos. They obviously struggled against Viking, didn't they, in the last round? I think they're third at the moment in the domestic league. I think they finished 13th in the group stage in this competition, so nothing to write home about. Fiorentina finished third in the group stage. They look pretty good at times. They're obviously in a stronger league, and they've been fairly competitive in Serie A. They're just a bit unpredictable for me. You know, we've seen it recently, and we've talked about it on the weekly show when we've looked at Serie A. You're never 100% sure what you're going to get from Fiorentina. So I think they could win tonight, and they probably should win tonight, but plus 125, it's just not quite big enough for me to be drawn in by them. And it was the same with the to qualify odds. Fiorentina obviously really short to qualify, which is fair, but not enough really in the price to pull me in. So it's one of those where, they should get through, but the prices are obviously the other factor to take into account. And there wasn't enough in the prices for me to be backing Fiorentina here. I actually think they might slip up tonight by being, sloppy or casual or something like that. So my correct score pick on the game was 1-1. Which might be the wake-up call Fiorentina need to actually then get the job done properly in the second leg. I wouldn't be surprised if it played out that way. So no picks, no bet for me on this game. I think Fiorentina are just a little bit too unreliable.
A lean for me is Fiorentina, but on the minus 0.25 Asian handicap. I want a little bit of draw security here. I do think I'm going to go 1-0 win for Fiorentina. I think this could be quite a poor game in terms of chances, and I think an under. I mean, what is the under price for this game? I don't think it's going to be a particularly high-scoring contest. Panathinaikos just look really poor to me. I don't think they'll offer much. I think they'll be quite cagey in this game. We've got the Chelsea lineup out. Cole Palmer's making his European debut this season for Chelsea, so that's big news there. I mean, George and Mahuka up front. Let's see what prices they are to score anytime. I mean, if you are playing up front for Chelsea in this game, you will get some chances. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever about it. Cole Palmer is -103 to score. He's desperate for a goal. We know he's desperate for a goal. Is that a bet, James? Cole Palmer?
Well, it could be, and it's just really interesting. He's picked him, isn't it? Because he might be thinking along the lines you're referencing there, Steve. What an opportunity for him to get a goal, and he's a sort of lad who just wants to play football. He won't mind getting picked in this competition with some players who don't always start in the Premier League. So it's a great opportunity, and there's obviously other players in the team who wouldn't normally start in the Premier League, so it's not like they've gone super strong, but it is a bit of a statement, I think, that they picked Cole Palmer tonight. And does it give Chelsea more of an edge? I know he's not been in great form, but the answer to that is yes for me. He's a great player and great opportunity for him to do something a little bit different as well, isn't it? Because it's a change of scene for him, different to what he generally has been doing for Chelsea in the Premier League. So really exciting, I think, to see him in this tournament and in this different environment tonight.
Chelsea can be backed on a -0.75 Asian handicap at -120 now. I think that looks really good value here against this Copenhagen side. But staying with the last early game, Molde, Legia, Warsaw. For me, this is a complete no-bet game. Molde did not impress me in the previous round whatsoever. Very disappointing. Got lucky to get through against Shamrock Rovers on penalties. Now, we might get an improvement from them. They're +115 to win the first leg against Lecce. The two teams met at the same stage last season in this competition. 3-2 win for Molde in the first leg and 3-0 win in the second leg. But I don't think this Molde is maybe as good at the moment. New manager for the season. Maybe he's managed to do something with them in 2 weeks on the training ground. And if he can, then we might see it. I mean, traditionally, they have been strong at home, but not so much this season in Europe. Legia Warsaw, 4th in the Polish league. I mean, obviously, I've got great knowledge of Molde. I like to get involved in their games when I can. But it's almost one of the biggest no-bet games of the whole card for me, James.
Yeah, I think it actually was for me, Steve. I had no view on this. Well, I had a view on it. My view is that it's very difficult to make a call on it. I think it's really difficult to get a read on either team. Molde are obviously really disappointing in the last round against Shamrock Rovers. They made, a real meal of getting through that. Legia Warsaw, quite hard for me to read at the moment. They did quite well in the group stage, didn't they? I think they finished 7th and got straight through, but they're underdogs tonight, and I think that's fair. It's one of those games where you've got 3 prices all plus money on the outcome tonight. Molde plus money, the tie plus money, Legia Warsaw plus money. So I think even the market makers are sort of struggling to see a super clear favourite. I would leave this alone. I think it's very difficult to take a strong view on either of these two sides at the moment.
Yeah, I'll go with a 1-1 draw. I couldn't decide. No result would surprise me. What's your correct score prediction, James?
It's 1-0. 1-0 to Molde.
Yeah. I like how you have a lot more faith in Molde than me. Recently, you were right. You were right in Ireland. You got that one right. They got it done. I hope they go well. It'd be nice to see them go deep. See what sort of performance we can get out of them here. It's a really tough game for me. The Tottenham lineup's out as well. There, Vitoria in goal. Spence, who's actually played quite well recently. I think Gray, Danso, Doggy, Bergvall, Bentancur, Madison, Johnson, Tell, and Son. It's a strong Spurs lineup.
It's a nice front four, that. Yeah.
Always wins a trophy in his second season.
Absolutely.
So he's got to go for it here. Let's move on to the late games now in the Europa League. We've got Roma Athletic Bilbao. Really good. This is a great match to watch, I think. Whether it's a good match to bet on is a completely different matter. I personally think Bilbao will get through over the 2 legs. That the final is in the Basque Country at their own ground. Yeah. But the romanticism in me would like to see Roma go deep in Ranieri's last season. To do that, they've surely got to win this first leg, James. Can they do it?
Yeah, they can do it. I'm actually on them to win it. Not with the pick or a lean, but I think correct score I am. I've gone 2-1 Roma here to get the job done and set it up for a really exciting second leg. I tend to agree with you. I think Athletic Club should just about get through, but Roma have done really well recently, haven't they? So I didn't have a pick on this or a lean on this, but one of those which should be really entertaining to watch. And like I say, I'm just about leaning towards Roma in the correct score market, 2-1.
Yeah, I went with a 1-1 draw here. If I can just find my notes for the game. There's so many games in there that it's actually difficult to find the notes sometimes for it. I still can't find the notes, but I'm sure I went a 1-1 draw. Yeah, 1-1 draw. I was considering Athletic Bilbao on the plus handicap, but yeah, I don't want to bet against Claudio Ranieri in the capital. They've been so good at home since he's took over. This might be one of them where I do think Athletic Bilbao are the better soccer side. They're definitely better technical. They probably will with a better team on the night, but it might be one of those. I mean, we saw this in the Champions League where Roma find a way to win. Just mentality, sheer heart, passion, things like that. In the big moments, they might deliver. Yeah. So, and I kind of hope they do a little bit. It'd be nice to give them a win here. But I'm not betting on the game. Someone said both teams score for this game, was it? I can't remember. So I'll look back. Mate SK likes under 2.5. He thinks it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it could go over or under. Either way, wouldn't surprise me. Really tough game. Good one to watch, though. I'd well recommend for the neutral to watch this game. Vitoria Plzen against Lazio. We actually align on this game, James. It surprised me a little bit.
Another one.
I didn't think you would have a bet on the game, but we both do. Lazio minus 125 favourites on the road. Vitoria Plzen plus 350. I think you probably maybe agree with me here that Plzen are perhaps underrated.
Correct.
Not saying they'll avoid defeat here.
Yeah.
But I think they're not a bad side. I really don't. They're second in the Czech league at the minute. Decent outfit. No guarantee of a Lazio win here for me. No,
I would agree. I think the word I would use is fearless, Steve. I think Vitoria Plzen will be absolutely fearless about this game. Yes, they know they're underdogs, but that's not a problem. They're going to be underdogs at this stage of the competition against plenty of teams they could have drawn against. I think they'll have a real go. And I had a clear pick on this. It's both teams to score yes. I think it's available about minus 130, something like that. Minus 136 earlier on. I think great chance of that happening because Plzen will have a real go despite being underdogs. That's just the way they play. If you look back through the group stage, they were involved in a stack of high-scoring matches. I think they won 3-0 at home to Ferencváros, 2-0 at home to Anderlecht. They won 2-1 away to Dynamo Kiev. They lost 2-1 at home to Man United. They lost 3-1 away to Athletic Club. But the common theme to that is that when they win, they tend to score. When they lose, they tend to score. It's just the way they play. So you could have a look at over goals here, over 2.75 or something like that. I liked both teams to score because I think Lazio are deservedly favourites and they should score. And it would be a massive surprise if they didn't score. But I think it would almost be as big a surprise if Plzen didn't score because of the way they've played in the competition. So, yeah, both teams to score, yes, should be a really entertaining game. And like I say, I think the way the home team will approach it should make it a really open match. So both teams to score, yes, minus 136 is my pick on the game.
That is exactly the same bet for me here. I really do like it. Both teams to score. Yes. Someone else put it in. Byron put it in chat here as well. I'm going for a 1-1 draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if anyone wins this, say 2-1 or even 3-1. It'd have to be Lazio, I think. What's your correct score prediction? It's
2-1 Lazio. Yeah, I think they should get it done, but it will be they'll make a game of it, I think, with the home team, and it will be an open one.
I've got to go back to the Conference League here. Chelsea, big drift on them. Minus 134 to win now. John Reed has put this up, and this is a really big move against them. I'm not sure why. Is it because of the two strikers in the lineup here, George and Miyuka? It doesn't look like a terrible 11 to me for Chelsea. I'm a bit surprised by this.
I mean, it's not their strongest. We can obviously to be too focused on Parma, I suppose, and you look through the entire team, and there's obviously, other players in there who don't really get a look in the Premier League, certainly when everybody's available. But yeah, I'd still be. Listen, we've done this show all the way through the season, Steve. We've seen them win, maybe not against Copenhagen, but against teams who are not that much weaker than Copenhagen, and they've won really comfortably with plenty of second string players. So I don't see much change actually here from Chelsea. I think they should play in the same way and be as confident, really. So I still think they're the bet.
Oh, hold on. Robert Sanchez is in goal. That explains it all now, doesn't it? How bad he's been this season. I just noticed he's back in the team. So that's not a keeper that's got much confidence this season. And the bench as well, by the way. If they need to use these players off the bench, they can use them. It's a very strong bench. Sick bench for Conference League, actually. Ajax, Eintracht, Frankfurt. I mentioned Ajax earlier, actually, how I may be thinking about them as a possible outright here. Plus 125 to beat Eintracht Frankfurt. I think the odds are maybe fair. Eintracht Frankfurt have only had one win in the last 7 in all competitions. That was against Holstein Kiel. It feels like they've not fallen apart, but they've losing Marmoush was a big body blow for Eintracht Frankfurt, James. And I don't really think I want to be backing them in any form. I don't know whether you want to be taking Ajax as an official bet or anything here, but it'd be a lean for me, I think.
Yeah, well, not for me on tonight, but I like them on the to qualify market there as the clear outsiders, plus 110. And you're right about Marmoush. We talked on the weekly show today, didn't we, about the fact that some teams have come out of the window in Europe and they're clearly weaker than they were before they went into the window. It's often because they sold 2 or 3 players, but it can just be one player if he's a really important player. And I think if you look at Eintracht Frankfurt, these consecutive heavy defeats they've had to Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich, they lost 4-1 at home to Leverkusen, didn't they? And they lost 4-0 at Bayern Munich. It's indicative, really, of how they are at the moment. They are really struggling. So it's a great time to play them. And I think Ajax, they have their own issues getting through to get to this stage in the playoff round against Union Saint-Gilloise, but generally have done pretty well recently. So I quite like them to qualify. I think plus 110 is worth a look. I don't have a lean or a pick on the game tonight. I've gone 2-1 correct score to Ajax. Again, I think it's the right time to capitalise on the problems that we've seen from Eintracht Frankfurt recently. So I'd rather be with Ajax than against Ajax tonight. But yeah, have a look at them, because I think obviously if they did win tonight, that price of plus 110 on them to qualify is probably going to go.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 written down as well for the correct score. It feels about right. And yeah, Ajax to qualify plus 110. That's probably the best bet in the tie, actually. They can do it over 2. And they're dangerous away from home as well.
Yeah.
So even if they drew or lost this, David Clarkson suspended for them here in the first leg. We'll be back for the second leg. Frankfurt, I'm not convinced by them, but they're not that bad either. Final Europa League game to discuss today. Bodo Glimt against Olympiakos, the Greek league leaders. They're actually unbeaten in 26 games in all competitions, the Greeks. But I do think they will lose here at Fortress Aspmira. This is a very, very tough place to go. We've mentioned it many times before. Bodo Glimt plus 130 on the money line here. There's a massive bit of team news which is really crucial here. The big striker for Olympiakos, El Kaabi, is ruled out. Now, he has scored over 20 goals in all competitions this season. We know how dangerous he was in the Conference League last season, and he's a nightmare to deal with. I think that's a huge boost for Bodo Glimt. Don't have to deal with him. They've got to still deal with a strong Olympiakos defense, which didn't concede many goals. Incredibly, you can actually get plus 115 for over 2.5 goals, that is unheard of in a Bodo Glimt game. Like, that is probably the biggest price I've ever seen for over 2.5 goals in one of their matches. And that is how much Olympiakos' defense has been given respect here. They're going to come here and they'll take a draw all day long. I think even they would take a tight defeat. Bodo Glimt, as I said before, if they've learned their lesson from the matches that they didn't qualify for in the Champions League previously and the matches they got knocked out in Europe, know they have to win the home legs. And they really have to win it by more than 1 goal. So I think Bodo Glimt minus 1/4 of a goal on the handicap, minus 106 is worth a bet. You will only lose half if it ends a draw, but they're going to go for this. They've got to win the game. And I think this might be a good chance to get at Olympiakos, who, yes, they are unbeaten in 26 games. I do question the Greek league. I've not, from when I've seen the other teams, PAOK, Panathinaikos this season, I'm just not sure how strong that league is. Olympiakos, they are the best team in that division. But for me, I am going to predict, and this is not often I would predict only 1-0 for Bodo Glimt, but that is my outcome here that I'm going with. What do you think?
Mine is exactly the same, Steve. I've gone 1-0 Bodo Glimt as well. I was a bit surprised, actually. They were such clear plus money price to win the game tonight. I take everything on board you say that about Olympiakos, but just fancy them to do it. And, I think 1-0 sounds about right to me. So no pick or lean for me on the game, but my correct score is aligned with you. I think 1-0 for the home team here.
Yeah, May test cases, Olympiakos are without their best 2 strikers. I don't know if there's another absentee that I missed out there, but that is definitely music to the Norwegian team's ears. Olympiakos are going to rely on the defence to get them through this game. But I think Glimt will find a way to get the job done. 1-0 for me. And I think they are minus 1/4 of a goal. Minus 106 is one of my better bets of the day. Great record since they came back into Europe at home. 26 wins, 2 draws and just 6 defeats, I think. It's a fortress. We know they're inside the Arctic Circle. Very, very tough place to go. Conference League, late games. Borac Banja Luka against Rapid Vienna. For me, tough game here.
Yeah.
Borac Banja Luka surprised everyone by knocking out Ljubljana in the last round. Rapid Vienna seem a different side since the winter break there. I haven't got a clue. I needed my 3-sided coin for this one, James. So if in doubt, I went with a draw. I went with 1-1, but 0-0 wouldn't surprise me. I don't have a bet for the game. What about you?
Well, same. Don't have a bet for the game or a lean on the game. I have gone 0-0 on the game. So I do tend to agree with you. It's my only 0-0 across the 2 competitions tonight. Very tough game to call, but this was my 0-0 pick.
Yeah, and there is the over-under line, I think it's 2 on the Asian here, which doesn't surprise me at all. I'm not going to bet it because I don't fundamentally know enough about Borac Banja Luka, really. But based on from what I've seen, I think it will be quite a tight game. So we're going to Cyprus now. Pafos against Djurgardens. And there is a pick on the game. It's not from me, though. You might be surprised by that because of the Swedish team being involved. But James Eastham has become a Cypriot League specialist. You've got a bet on the game. You quite liked Pafos in the previous round.
I did.
But you're going against them in this one.
I am, yeah. I'm a big Pafos fan. I had a great holiday there once, as I think I told you in down. But I am against them this time. I think that price is too short on Pafos. I think minus 159. Listen, we got some good intel, didn't we, on them in the last round? They had that all Cypriot tie. They beat Ammonia Nicosia 3-2, which was not a surprise. Pafos are top of the Cypriot league, so they are the stronger of those 2 teams, and they went through. But I think one thing that we learned from that tie, and also we learned from Pafos all season, actually, if you look at how they played in the group stage, is if they do win, they tend to win by quite narrow margins. And most of their games actually are quite close. So I thought minus 159 on Pafos to win here. I feel that it opens up the door to back Djurgardens here at some sort of handicap, because they did actually finish above Pafos in the group stage. They finished 5th and Pafos were 12th. So my play on the game is Djurgardens plus 0.75 on the Asian handicap. You can back that at minus 108. So you'd only lose half your stakes if Pafos win the game by a single goal. I personally be very surprised if Pafos went on to win it by a couple of goals, because they just haven't looked that sort of team in Europe this season. And there's obviously concerns about teams who are coming out of winter breaks and all that sort of thing. But, there have been cup games recently in Sweden. So Djurgardens aren't coming in this end completely cold, if you'll pardon the pun. And I think, like I say, the fact that they actually finished above Pafos in the group stage, I just feel that minus 159 on Pafos to win, it looks a little bit short to me. So I'd get with Djurgardens here on the handicap if you can.
Yeah, you really like this play, don't you? Plus 0.75 on Djurgardens. They have been playing competitive games, 3 Swedish Cup matches. Not overly convincing in them. They've got a new manager for this season of Djurgardens. It's an Icelandic boss, a Finnish boss, Jani Honkavora, who's coming from a team called Cups. I think he might have won the league there with them actually at some point. 2.03 points per game since he was there. I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw here. There's a couple of player props that I would be interested in. They've actually, the main striker from last season, Dennis Hummert, has left the club, or he's about to leave the club to Japan, I do believe. So Tokmak Nguyen has been playing up front for them, and he's plus 340 to score any time in the game. Nino Zugelj, he's not actually listed with Bet Rivers, but I really think he could have a big game as well. He comes on the right wing, cuts inside, played for Bodo Glimt, transferred this winter. Nino Zugelj, if he does start, I think he's worth the back anytime. Got a great left foot on him, cuts inside and shoots. So if we can get, if Djurgardens are not very cold, I think this could look a big price on them. Pafos, again, how strong is the Greek league? We know Elfsborg beaten 3-0 here, I think it was, or 3-1 in the qualifying for Europa League. Actually, that was a long time ago. But I think I'm with you here. Djurgardens maybe, certainly the odds are wrong for Pafos. Yeah. Not saying they can't win the game, Pafos, but I wouldn't back them at minus 159.
Minus 159,
yeah. I'm going to go draw 1-1. What are you saying?
Exactly the same score written down here, Steve. Going to go 1-1 on the correct score market.
Nish, great to see you. He says he's got to drop off, but thank you very much, and good luck with your bets as well. Shelley against Lugano. For me, again, really tough game here. I don't know which way this is going to go. Plus 155 on the Slovenian team. Lugano plus 160. Lugano in really poor form since the winter break has come back from Switzerland. Celle, I've enjoyed what they've done in the Europa Conference League, Celle, but I think they're 4th or 5th in the Slovenian League, which that concerns me. But maybe maybe with this team, we've got to differentiate between domestic form and European form. I don't know here, tough one.
Yeah, really tough. Don't have a view really on this. No pick, no bet. I've gone 2-0 Lugano, actually, but you're right, Steve. I mean, they looked really good, didn't they, domestically, first half of the season? They've had a few problems since. No pick, no bet, really, but I would say Lugano really should get certainly win it over the 2 legs, you would think.
Usually a good go-to bet for Celle games at home is over 2.5 goals. And Mate SK has put that in. It's minus 139. I do believe, checking on the latest prices. Yeah, I think that's possibly a bet, actually, just based on their style. They won a domestic game 9-1 2 weeks ago in the league. So they've got some goals in them of Celle when they get it right. Lugano, I actually think there's more question marks about Lugano than Celle here. Really not like what I've seen from them since the winter break. It's really difficult for these Swiss teams. That's a difficult league anyway. John, good to see you, and best of luck. A Premier League show is out. Go and watch it if you've not after this one's finished. Any shot on target shouts for James's Mikatadze in the Lyon game is what you've gone with, James.
Yeah, and over 1.5, I should say, not over 0.5. Yeah.
Yeah, that lineup is out, and he just start along with Nuama up front. Supposedly, we don't know. 4-4-2 possibly might be a different variation of that. Final game then before we sign off, and it should be actually a decent one to be fair. Hagliona against Bialystok against Cercle Bruges. Polish champions minus 106 to win the game. There was a few people in chat saying they like the Polish team here. Hagliona, Cercle Bruges have really struggled domestically. Maybe a distraction for them here. I'm always, when Hagliona are involved, I always like the goals. And when they're at home, I think they have to be respected, James. Yeah,
I would agree. I don't have a pick on the game or a lean on the game, but I think, look at the price, right? I mean, they're minus 103. It shows how they're rated these days. They did well, didn't they, in the group stage? These two sides were right next to each other. One of them needed to go through the playoffs and one didn't because Cercle Bruges finished 8th. So they squeezed through automatically, but Hagliona have looked pretty good. So don't have a pick or a lean, but I've gone 2-1 to the home side here on the Asian handicap. I think they could get it done. Cercle Bruges have been really disappointing domestically. And I think that will give the home team confidence. So I'm expecting them to win here, 2-1 to the home team for me.
Yeah, I've gone 3-1 to Hagliona here. I think they can win the game. I've got a lean on over 2.5 goals. The Celle Lugano game, I went with 2-1 for Celle. What were you on that one, James?
2-0 to Lugano.
2-0 to Celle.
So no, to Lugano. Yeah, to Lugano. So that's one of the few games where we disagree today, but one of the few also where we're not that sure. But this one, the game, Hagliona and Cercle Bruges, 2-1 to the home team.
There's some house specials I've got to talk about here. You've got to give me a quick fire answer whether you'd go with this or not, James. Over 89.5 total corners across the 8 Europa League games. Is that a play? Plus 125? You going over?
No.
No. That's
just under 87. I think that'll be 80.
if there's 87 corners, that'll be crazy. This one might interest you, though. Over 23.5 total goals, and this is the same line for both Europa and the Conference League. Over 23.5. If you had to pick which competition goes over, would you go Europa or Conference?
That is
23.5.
That's a great shout. If I had to go one or the other, I would go Europa League.
Yes, I actually think both could go over 23.5 line. I think those two are very good house specials. Tottenham and Man United, each to score in the first half, is at plus 352. For those who do like the English teams to get off to a good start. Not sure I'll be backing that myself, but it could happen. I'm saying I'm ruling it out. Notable live streams today. We've got Copa Libertadores, apparently. Is that starting already?
I think, qualifying has started, I think.
Yeah. Boston River against Banja. I didn't even realize that had started yet. We've got 4 Copa Sudamericana games as well. And, of course, you can watch ATP and WTA Indian Wells, a massive tennis event over there in America, on the live streams. And subscribe to the newsletter as well. It's free. You'd be able to get James's pick well in advance for the game. But yeah, we've done our hour, so we're going to have to call it quits there. What best bet of the day before we go?
Best bet of the day for me would be AZ Alkmaar versus Tottenham. It's the over 2.75 goals pick that I put up quite early on in the show. It feels like a while ago now, but minus 120. Obviously, these prices might change, but that's my pick of the day, over 2.75 goals in that game.
Do you know what? I think it was gonna be Bodo Glimt minus 0.25, but Fenerbahce, I think the more we talked about it, I've got to be on Fenerbahce here against Rangers on the minus 0.75 Asian handicap, minus 117. I think moneyline minus 148 is quite good for Fenerbahce as well. Rangers are just not in a good phase at the moment. But thanks everyone. Take care and stay safe. And I'll be back tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Jack Wright's going to join me again. We're going to look ahead to the Friday card in Europe and in UK as well. But James, as always, it was an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, Steve. Great fun as ever. Thank you, mate.
We are back next week again at 11 a.m. Eastern time. A little bit 1 hour later, though, in England. So do bear that in mind. But I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks very much, everyone. Remember to gamble responsibly, and goodbye.